Let's bring in Casey Briggs, who is going to give us an update as to where things stand. Casey, good morning. Let's look at the big picture first. Where are the seats stacking up at the moment?
Yeah, hi Michael. G'day, good to see you. So when we look at the House of Representatives to begin with, at the moment we've got Labor on a definite 72 seats, Greens on 12 crossbenchers, so it's 15 crossbenchers in total and 52 for the coalition. If I were Labor right now, I would be feeling cautiously optimistic, let's say, about getting to that magic number of 76. That would mean they have a majority. That means they don't need to rely on the support of any of this quite large crossbench. Let me just take you through three really quick seats to show you why I'm saying that. One is the seat of Richmond in northern New South Wales. This is an in-doubt seat still. You would favour Labor on the numbers that are coming through, and the counting that was happening yesterday. Justine Elliott took a bit of a lead here. If she can finish in the top two, which is looking more likely she will, the Greens or the Nats preferences would flow toward Labor. If we have a look at McNamara in Melbourne, again, Josh Burns slightly improved his position yesterday. This is another one of those interesting three-corner contests, and the order the candidates are excluded is really important here. You would favour Josh Burns in that race, although we're not calling it certainly by any means. And then there's the seat of Bennelong, John Howard's old seat. Jerome Laxale is the Labor candidate on 38.3%. This is one, again, an 8% swing to Labor. Again, we're not calling this seat as an ALP gain, but they are ahead in the counting, and you probably would at this point favour Labor to go ahead and win that. So if they can then, if all of those three were to come to pass, let's just show you what that would start to look like. And sorry, I need to go to the chamber. This is not my usual touchscreen, Michael, so forgive me as I...
You're forgiven, Casey.
It's been a big weekend, Casey. You are absolutely forgiven.
72, that's 72 if those three do fall the way of Labor would become 75. That's one short of majority. Then where would they go? Lyons, they are ahead in. Deakin at the moment is a very close race, but Labor is ahead in. And there are some other seats. Gilmore, the Liberals, Andrew Constance ticked just ahead in the counting yesterday, but it's a very close race. So there are a few seats that Labor's in the hunt in to get to 76. So we're not saying just yet. We want to be sure that they have a majority before we say they have a majority. But if you're Labor, you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and we were just talking to the Greens leader, Adam Band. What's the Senate looking like?
So the Senate is a really interesting little contest. The Greens, speaking of them first, have done very well out of this. It looks like they're going to pick up all three of their current senators that were up for re-election have been re-elected. They've picked up one in all of the other states, which means they've now got two in every state, which would give them quite a large group, party room of 12 in the Senate. We've got Labor on having likely to pick up 14 plus the 11 there, continuing with the coalition 13 plus the 17 there, continuing with. It's looking like Labor will be able to work relatively straightforwardly, and they won't have sort of One Nation and the coalition able to block legislation, unilaterally, with the caveat that there's a lot of counting still to be done. I just want to take you to a few interesting races in the Senate. We won't do every single state and territory. Tasmania is an interesting one. It looks like we've got the Liberals on 2, Labor on 2, the Greens 1. The 6th seat, you would favour the Jackie Lambie network. That is Jackie Lambie's second senator. She's not up for re-election this time. Not guaranteed, but you would favour her. And if she wins, that would mean the defeat of Senator Eric Abetz, who's in the 3rd position on the Liberal ticket. Let me go up to Victoria. The one in Victoria that's interesting is that the UAP have done, I think this might be where they've done quite well compared to the other states. They're a shot there, not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination, but they're a shot. In the ACT, David Pocock, the independent, is doing quite well. He's a very good shot of taking the second and final seat in the ACT. So that would be one Labor, one David Pocock, and that would mean the defeat of Senator Zed Seselja. And let me take you to Queensland finally, where we've got the Liberal National Party on 2, Labor likely 2, the Greens on 1. The 6th one is up for grabs. A little bit hard to predict exactly who will win it. One Nation would probably be ahead at the moment, but you wouldn't want to call it. So there's a bit of a race there. More likely you'd think a right-wing party than a left-wing party, but it's not entirely clear. But the upshot there is Labor may well be able to work with the Greens, David Pocock and maybe Jackie Lambie network, and that kind of grouping would be enough to get them to pass legislation and maybe pass it relatively comfortably. So, Labor would be not too upset by the Senate results either.
OK, one of the big storylines to emerge from Saturday night was the pretty poor performance in primary vote terms for both of the major parties. A big win for Labor, a very bad night for the Liberal Party. But gee, Casey, their primary votes are shadows of their fall themselves.
Yeah, their primary votes are quite low and the other vote is quite high. And I actually think the most interesting thing is what we've seen is not just that these are high numbers, but they're concentrated in pockets of the country, in electorates. And what it's meant is, the others here, 10.5%, they're able to convert that into a haul of 12 seats. The Greens got more than about 10% last election and won 1 seat. They're looking at about 12% this time, and they've won 3 or 4 seats. So what's happening here is a fragmentation of the electoral map. In such a way that we've got all of these very interesting contests. We've got much more representation of minor parties and independents in the Australian Parliament. Let me just show you. This is our kind of prediction at the moment of what things are going. For the first time, it's looking like, we're confident that the Liberal Party have none of the seats overlooking Sydney Harbour.
Wow.
And they're looking like they might well be losing Bennelong as well, that former blue ribbon seat held by John Howard and so rarely held by Labor. If I head south, you'll see, let's go out a bit more and then come into Melbourne. You'll see there's almost no blue in Melbourne. The Liberals have been knocked out of eastern Melbourne here thanks to Labor winning Chisholm and some seats like that, and then those teal independents in Goldstein and Kooyong. So the Liberals are being pushed out of the inner cities, and what we've got is, parties with much more concentrated geographic support. So that is a really interesting feature of our electoral system going forward.
It is indeed. Just very, very quickly, we've got Monique Ryan coming up, who has, and we've called Kooyong for her, Treasurer Josh Frydenberg's seat, but the Treasurer yesterday was saying that it's still mathematically possible, as he sees it, with postal votes to still win. Is it mathematically possible for Josh Frydenberg to come back from the political dead?
It would be mathematically possible, but you would need a radically different set of numbers to come through than what we've already seen coming through in that seat. The postals would need to, really help him, because you can see Monique Ryan and Josh Frydenberg, very similar primary votes, and Monique Ryan is getting all of these preferences, or the vast majority of them.
All right, Casey Briggs, thanks so much.